From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 530 News.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us on your Friday. I'm Jeanelle Slade. Well, tonight, the attacks outside the Kabul airport in Afghanistan touch closer to home. A U.S. Marine, husband, and soon-to-be father from Wyoming became one of 13 troops killed when two suicide bombers and a gunman attacked crowds of people trying to evacuate the country. Now, family members of U.S. Marine Riley McCollum confirmed the young Wyoming man was killed during those attacks. He was a 2019 graduate of Summit Innovation School in Jackson Hole. His sister Royce tells us that Riley was going to be a father in 3 weeks. She says he wanted to be a Marine since he was a kid and was determined to be in infantry. This was McCollum's first deployment. He had just arrived in Afghanistan as those evacuations began. Royce says her brother was manning a checkpoint when the suicide bomb went off. In her statement, Royce McCollum says Riley will always be a hero, not just for the ultimate sacrifice he made for our country, but for the way he impacted everyone in life around him for the better, making us stronger, kinder, and teaching us to love deeper. Wyoming School Superintendent Jillian Balow also expressing condolences, saying that I am grateful for Riley's service to our country does not begin to encapsulate the grief and sadness I feel today as a mother and an American. My heart and prayers are with Riley's family, friends, and the entire Jackson community. Well, in honor and memory of U.S. Marine Riley McCollum, Wyoming Governor Mark Gordon has ordered both the U.S. and state flags to remain at half-staff through Monday, August 30th. Flags are currently at half-staff to honor all U.S. service members and other victims of those attacks. Well, we are now going to turn to Chief Meteorologist Ed McIntosh in the Q2 Weather Center. The threat of strong storms are sticking around.
That's right. We started off last night, and now tonight, Jeanelle, we still have a few around. We had a couple of ripples that moved through the Billings area. The first wave and then the second one came right through, and, well, it just made more noise than anything else. It left a little bit of moisture in behind. Regionally, we've seen these streaks of showers and thunderstorms, and much as we saw last night, we're continuing to watch some of these storms create some pockets of isolated storms with heavy rain, gusty winds, and some hail. We had some reports of some hail around the Red Lodge area from earlier in the afternoon. The biggest target area is going to be across eastern Montana in the green, and especially the yellow shaded areas. That's until about sunset or maybe a little bit later than that tonight. Take a look at that and the rest of the weekend forecast details coming up in just a little bit.
All right. Thanks so much, Ed. Well, a strong sign that COVID-19 is on a path to kill here in Yellowstone County. Late this afternoon, health officials report the virus has claimed 7 Yellowstone County lives in the last 6 days. That's the highest one-week death toll since January. Now, the most recent deaths, a woman in her 60s and 2 women in their 70s, died yesterday at Billings hospitals. None of the women had been vaccinated against COVID-19, and all 3 had underlying health conditions. County Health Officer John Felton calls the current COVID trends disturbing. He says the county has had more cases at this point in August than we had the entire months of May, June, and July combined. The hospitals are also filling up. So far this month, 105 people have been hospitalized since, again, the most COVID-19 patients admitted since January. Now, the county says 58 of the 68 people in the hospital tonight are unvaccinated, and more than 80% of all recent patients had not been vaccinated. And if you've been holding off for FDA approval, Riverstone Health has that vaccine you need. The Pfizer vaccine received full approval this week. Riverstone will offer first and second doses to everyone aged 12 and older. Starting Monday, the first free walk-in clinic runs from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. That's at the Bear Family Student Center at Rocky Mountain College. The next clinic is set for September 2nd at Riverstone Health, as well as the third on September 23rd. Well, Wyoming residents are also seeing a major jump in cases. The Cowboy State recorded 379 new cases in the last 24 hours. That's the most recorded in a single day since last year. Now, the state has seen nearly 4,000 new cases in the past 14 days alone. And one more important note, since the pandemic began, 19 to 29-year-olds have accounted for well over 12,000 of the confirmed cases. That's nearly 3,000 more than any other age group. The state has seen 835 total deaths. Well, Lockwood Schools have gone through some big changes over the last 2 years, and just 3 days ago, welcomed hundreds of new students to the district. Q2's Brandon Warren checked in today to see how it's going.
Classes are back in session at Lockwood Schools for the second year inside their new buildings.
So far, the kickoff to the start of the year has been amazing. It's been great, great parent support. Kids are excited to be back in school.
The school district has an optional mask policy this semester and say they have not seen any problems yet.
It's nice to be back in the building in a more normal capacity for sure. Last year was a little rough trying to figure out how to teach, and so I feel a little more on my game this year, and the kids are appreciating that, I think, for sure.
Some of the staff mentioned that the children's excitement level for this school year might be even higher than usual. Part of this excitement could be because the school is starting its first year of varsity sports.
It's a unique year for us. We're starting our first year of varsity sports in everything but football. We held football out for one more year until we get that senior class. So it's going to be exciting for us to go out and compete.
Part of the reason they can now start varsity sports is because the school district has been growing in size, adding over 150 students to their high school alone. Students and faculty are hoping for a great rest of the school year. In Billings, Brandon Warren, MTN News.
All right, thanks so much, Brandon. Oh, the school sports schedule also started this week. Well, after hearing of economic hardships and emotional separation, Montana Governor Greg Gianforte says he is determined to see the U.S. reopen its border with Canada. MTN's Dennis Bragg joined the governor earlier this week in Lincoln County, a community fractured by COVID precautions.
It's been a long 18 months since COVID closed the border to normal traffic. And while Canada is once again allowing Americans to cross with extensive requirements, only essential travel is coming south. And Eureka residents tell Governor Gianforte they're missing the essential cross-border culture, so central to life in the Tobacco Valley.
A lot of them become my friends. They're good people. They're not Canadians. They're people who become part of our community.
I'm not really sure what the reason is. I don't know that we're stopping some great influx of COVID. I think the southern border is open, right? I don't think that we have the mass infections along the border down there. So what's the rationale for having this border shut?
While Eureka is busy, businesses say it's not what they would normally expect at the end of August, with some seeing a 40% or more drop in revenue, especially with events like the Libby Car Show being much smaller this month.
And with 150 cars comes 300 to 400 people. Mm-hmm. So filling up the restaurants, filling up and they hit Eureka on their way down, they hit Eureka on their way back up. So it's a huge impact.
Families told the governor how they haven't seen Canadian relatives in all this time, missing life events and love.
It's probably the hardest thing besides losing my father for everyone.
To have a line drawn down through the middle of your family.
Yeah.
Well, we heard tragic stories today of husband and wife split across the border, grandchildren that hadn't seen their grandpa in over 18 months. And I have a really clear message. Joe Biden opened this gate. We need to get families back together, communities back together, and we want to see our Canadian friends.
And while the Canadian opening on August 9th has helped somewhat, the businesses here tell me they're still struggling, especially because this relief is coming so late in the year.
Not only is this tragic for the families that are split across the border, but economically it's devastating. And Canadians that have homes down here are now starting to put them on the market and sell them because they can't get down to enjoy Montana.
The governor promised to help provide better access to the COVID rapid test that can help Montanans meet a requirement for border crossing.
I'll continue to keep pressure on the U.S. side to make that happen. And your stories are going to help me do that.
There's no reason why this border crossing is closed. It's time to open it up. It can be done safely, and it needs to be done now.
In Eureka, Dennis Bragg, MTN News.
Thanks, Dennis. Up next on tonight's MTN 530 News on Q2, farmers and ranchers weigh in on what they need to help survive in this changing environment.
Hi everybody, Scott Breen at Dale Stadium for a second Class AA football showdown in just 24 hours. Coming up, Skyview hosting Flathead. Is this the year for a Falcons breakthrough?